The January 2024 ice storm was far and away the worst storm damage we've ever seen in our 40-year history.
Line crews were out and they were watching places where there were 17 poles in a row just snapped off in a row.
We had almost all of our customers out of power at some point in time.
Two providers of our transmission lines that feed our substations, they had towers that were actually crumbling.
We have no hope of turning anybody back on if we don't have power at those substations.
I think out of 23,000 customers that we run, we had about 19,000 or more off. That was the night, what we'd call the darkest hour of EPUD, if you will. When you get to stay home from work or school, there's a reason. It's too dangerous to be out there, and actually that's when linemen and other first responders have to go to work.
It's hard enough doing our job, but when everything is covered in ice and everybody's low on sleep, everything is just that much more dangerous, and it's really nice to know that working with all these guys here that you can rely on them.
Everybody stepped out of their roles and did what Emerald always does.
We had office employees jumping down to the warehouse to help out. We had warehouse folks going out into the field. We had our tree crews helping our line crews.
The storm actually happened in two phases. That second wave was easily 3 times as devastating as the initial storm.
We've been through storms before, and we've learned that calling in crews early is crucial because they're a scarce commodity during big events like this.
To give perspective of what this was to the utility, we have about 20 linemen. We ramped up to 135 linemen, and you have to keep wire, poles, and material in front of them. We wanted to have a 1 to 2 year supply in our yard at all time in case something happened to the supply chain. The board backed us, and we had a second yard built out in Pleasant Hill where we kept another 100 and some poles. We had enough supply in this yard that we were able to supply 25 crews for days and still had enough to continue working after the storm and continue repair.
In any emergency, information is key. But during this ice event, we started hearing right away real concerns from our customers, knowing that they could possibly be out of power for a week to 2 weeks.
When you're going through a major event like this, the only thing worse than bad news is no news. So we did videos from the very beginning to show not only the damage that was out across the system, but also the progress.
Got Tacoma Power in on mutual aid. They are in process of getting this main line back up. So great to see these mutual aid crews making progress for us.
People saw in these videos that EPUD is a real organization with human beings that were working around the clock to get their power on. And it was important to show that we were out there with them, that we understood what they were dealing with, that the conditions, as horrible as they were, those were conditions that we were in too, and we were going through this struggle right alongside them.
We serve a lot of rural communities, and rural communities sometimes get lost in the shuffle, and it takes a lot more to get them back in power.
EPUD was formed 40 years ago by our customers. They wanted better service, they wanted lower rates, especially during times like this ice storm. They wanted to know that they had a utility company they could count on. To this day, one of our core values is service and making sure that our rural customers get the same or better service than what you find in the cities. This storm really put this utility to the test. It's times like that where you really find out what people are made of. But our employees, they turned that around and they made this the proudest moment in EPUD's history. Really did the impossible.
I want to say thank you to our customer owners for going through this big of an event with us and trusting us and believing that we would get their power back on.
I'm just extremely proud of the way our staff stepped up during our darkest hour, and I couldn't have been more proud to watch it play out the way that it did.
It was the fastest, hardest, most mind-numbing thing I've ever been a part of, and I wouldn't have missed a moment of it. It was just a huge team effort.